morning, I'm going to talk to y'all about Fred Rogers, otherwise known as Mr. Rogers. He once had a He had a TV show called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Every show began the same way. Mr. Rogers would enter his home, take off his jacket and shoes, and put on a sweater that was comfortable. He would put on his tennis shoes while singing his theme song, "Won't You Be My Neighbor?" The song started out like this: "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine?" And it ended like, "Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please, won't you please, please, won't you be my neighbor?" When Mr. Rogers died several years ago, he had millions of neighbors all over the world, and although he was quite famous, he never thought of himself as a TV star. He said, "I always thought I was a neighbor who just came in for a visit." Mr. Rogers knew what it meant to be a good neighbor. One day, a lawyer asked Jesus what he had to do to have eternal life. And when Jesus asked him what God's law said, the lawyer answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus answered, "You are right. Do this, and you will live." But the man wanted to make himself look good, so he asked Jesus another question: "Who is my neighbor?" To answer this question, Jesus told a story about a man who was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho. When he was attacked by robbers, they beat him, they took his money, stripped him of his clothes, and left him beside the road to die. A priest came by, and when he saw the man, he crossed over to the other side of the road and continued on his way. A little while later, a Levite who worked in the temple came along. He also saw the man lying there and passed him by. Finally, a man from Samaria came along, and when he saw the man, he stopped to help him. He put medicine on his wounds, wrapped them with bandages, and that isn't all he did. He took the man to an inn, and he asked the guy to take care of him. He paid the innkeeper money and told him that if it wasn't enough, that he would give him more. He would pay him when he came back by. Then Jesus asked, which of these three men was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by robbers? Of course, the lawyer answered, the one who stopped to help him. "You are right," Jesus said. "Now go and do the same." I have some questions for us today. You don't have to answer them out loud. How many of us are really good neighbors? Are you a good neighbor at work, at school, on social media? Are you a good neighbor then? We have so many more opportunities in today's world than even Jesus had when he was here, and his disciples and the people that followed him. We have the whole world that we can be a good neighbor to. Even if we disagree with them or have a different opinion with them. I was reading on social media the other day, and there was this whole line of comments. And some of the comments were not very kind. And comments made by somebody that claimed to be a Christian. Are we being good neighbors when we write those words? It's so easy to say things on the internet that you might not say to somebody face to face. We have to think about those things. We have to strive every day in every way, whether we're on social media, at work, or at school, to be a good neighbor. People are watching us. They're listening to us. They're seeing how we behave when we claim to be Christians. Whether we're on social media or at work or school, wherever we are we shining? Are we showing other people the light of Jesus? Are we being good neighbors?